You may experience discomfort if your body's functions are interfered with. Crohn's disease is not an isolated case. It is an inflammatory bowel disease that can add a little complexity to your life when it is triggered. Your digestive tract swells as a result of Crohn's disease, which can cause severe diarrhea, exhaustion, weight loss, and malnourishment. Depending on the individual, it may impact different sections of the digestive system, but the small intestine is typically affected. In order to ease the burden on your intestines, we'll examine the 9 foods that you should completely avoid if you have Crohn's disease in today's video. Relax. Let's start with a list. Cut back on raw fruit and vegetable consumption. Raw vegetables and fruits. Despite their well-known health benefits, fruits and vegetables might be difficult for certain Crohn's disease sufferers to stomach due to their high fiber content. Eating cooked, peeled fruits and vegetables makes some people with Crohn's disease feel better. Due to their difficulty in digestion, high-fiber, stringy vegetables including broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, and celery can produce bloating, cramping, and gas. In general, it is easier to eat fruits and vegetables that are canned or cooked than when they are raw. You might be able to handle these items if they are properly prepared and sliced into little pieces. If not, consider an alternate option. Since peel coverings are frequently rough, removing them may result in the loss of important nutrients, such as insoluble fiber. However, for the comfort of people suffering from Crohn's disease or irritable bowel syndrome, it is best to forego that slight loss of vitamins and minerals. Fruit packed in heavy or light syrup should also be avoided due to its high sugar content. Instead, choose fruit packed in natural juices. Fresh produce that hasn't been heated or processed has a high fiber content and can make you gassy. You may need to cut them out of your diet if you have Crohn's disease. Because soluble fiber is lost when fruits and vegetables are peeled, people with Crohn's disease who have irritable bowel syndrome should increase their intake of soluble fiber through supplements, oatmeal, or crushed chia seeds. Relax. Fruit or vegetable seeds might be problematic. It's recommended to stay away from foods that contain seeds, such as tomatoes, strawberries, and raspberries. When you're having a flare-up of Crohn's disease, as symptoms like nausea and GI tract irritation and pain resurface. Also, stay away from baked goods like rye bread because they contain a lot of seeds. Should you suffer from Crohn's disease, seeds will cause chaos in your stomach. It resembles sandpaper applied to a cut. It is therefore better to stay away from it as much as possible. Certain seeds are bitter because of their jagged edges. Those sharp edges have the potential to irritate the GI tract's lining. Some persons may experience pain following the consumption of grains that irritate the gut wall. In place of seeds, consider using smooth peanut butter or sesame tahini in your diet. Fried foods are appealing, but you should avoid them. Fried meats. Fried food is generally best avoided, but because of its grease content, Crohn's patients may have particular issues. People who have Crohn's disease often have symptoms like cramping or loose stools because their small intestine is unable to completely absorb the fat in foods like fried chicken, French fries, thick sauces, and creams. For your Crohn's diet, choose baked, broiled, or steamed dishes instead of fried or oily ones. You should also limit your intake of lipids. You should be extremely watchful and cautious about the fried meals you eat if you have fatty stools. Another wise generalization is to stay away from junk food completely. It is applicable to everyone who wants to maintain a healthy lifestyle to avoid junk food. Steer clear of preservatives, processed meats, high sugar, and quick meals. A balanced diet and a strict no to packaged food policy are recommended. Relax. Cutting back on meat could be advantageous. Saying no to a nicely cooked steak or a juicy hamburger is difficult for many of us. Meat is nutrient-dense, but it also contains a number of naturally occurring chemical toxins, saturated fat, and other compounds that are difficult for our bodies to process. Because meat takes up a lot of room in our intestines, eating too much of it may have harmful effects. This could cause irritation to the gut wall. High-fat red meat is better avoided if you have Crohn's disease. Pork and red meat can aggravate your disease by inflaming your intestines and causing flare-ups. Crohn's disease patients are hypersensitive to pork, beef, milk, eggs, and cheese even though they do not have an allergy to any of these items. If you eat meat, going for leaner, Lower fat cuts might help you get the desired high protein intake without experiencing as much inflammation. It takes longer to digest and break down red meat. As an alternative, you may select meats like elk and bison, which have lipids that are less inflammatory and more healthful. You might also have to give up popcorn. Eating popcorn whole grains is beneficial to everyone's digestive health, save for individuals who have Crohn's disease and are experiencing a flare-up. Popcorn is high in dietary fiber because it contains complex carbohydrates, which are poorly absorbed and don't significantly alter in the colon. Popcorn contains hemicellulose, cellulose, and a trace amount of lignin as its main sources of fiber. Popcorn becomes insoluble as a result. When consumed, insoluble fiber causes higher stool volumes and passes through the digestive tract more quickly since it is not digested. Furthermore, insoluble fiber promotes gas production, which in certain IBS sufferers can exacerbate bloating, distension, and flatulence. If you experience these symptoms, steer clear of meals high in insoluble fiber and replace them with foods high in soluble fiber, such as citrus fruits, oats, and psyllium. An old favorite, popcorn is typically covered with a generous amount of melted butter. Unfortunately, fat and/or fiber can aggravate Crohn's disease symptoms. The majority of Crohn's disease patients respond better to low-fat, low-residue diets or diets devoid of high-fiber or high-fat meals. While some people find that eating popcorn during remissions is okay, particularly when consumed in little amounts with little to no butter on top, others find that eating popcorn during a flare-up exacerbates their symptoms. Anything that is difficult for you to digest may be harmful to you, exacerbate your symptoms, or delay the healing process. Relax. Additionally, dairy products could be counterproductive. It may be difficult for someone with Crohn's disease to digest the sugar included in milk and other dairy products. This condition is known as lactose intolerance, and it can arise from digestive tract damage caused by Crohn's disease. If dairy aggravates additional symptoms, including gas and bloating, try soy or almond milk instead of cow's milk. Choose harder, more aged cheeses like Parmesan, Romano, or cheddar instead of milder ones like mozzarella or ricotta. For certain individuals suffering with Crohn's disease, the sugar found in milk and other dairy products, lactose, may be too difficult to process. You can be tested by your doctor to find out if you have a lactose intolerance. If you are intolerant to lactose, look for other sources of calcium and vitamin D, such as tofu, fortified cereals, canned sardines, orange juice, and leafy greens like kale, collard greens, and turnips. Hard cheese, kefir, and yogurt have good probiotic bacteria and very little lactose, if you're not eating lactose. The intention is to satisfy the patient's preferences while simultaneously providing for their needs. Cut back on your alcohol intake permanently. Alcohol consumption should be cautious for people with inflammatory bowel disease as it may cause issues. Alcohol can irritate the GI system, and it can be more uncomfortable and upsetting for people who already have stomach issues. This also applies to all alcoholic beverages, such as wine, whiskey, and beer, which you shouldn't consume if you suffer from Crohn's disease. Your Crohn's disease symptoms may get worse if you consume alcohol, particularly if you have diarrhea. Wine usually contains sulfites, a food preservative to which many people are allergic. A person's liver's capacity to metabolize alcohol determines how much of it they can safely consume. Since each person with Crohn's disease has a different experience, there are no general guidelines for treating alcohol. While some individuals may not exhibit any symptoms of Crohn's disease, others may have severe reactions and need to completely stop drinking. Moreover, individuals with Crohn's disease may experience a range of effects from different kinds of alcohol. Beer, for instance, is a potent symptom trigger. However, hard liquor might be more manageable. Releasing alcohol gradually after a period of abstinence can help people understand how their bodies respond. Stop. Steer clear of coffee, cocoa, and fizzy drinks. Coffee and cocoa. If you have Crohn's disease, you might need to cut back on your coffee intake. Caffeine boosts the gastrointestinal tract's wave-like action, which facilitates the passage of waste products through the body. If you experience diarrhea, caffeine might not be for you, especially if your Crohn's symptoms get worse. Irritable bowel syndrome sufferers may have issues with caffeinated sodas. This also applies to sparkling liquids, which can serve as triggers regardless of caffeine content. If you get tired without caffeine, think about experimenting with other tactics like exercise or aromatherapy. Steer clear of caffeinated drinks like energy drinks, soda, coffee, and tea. Choose non-caffeinated drinks instead, such as flavored water or diluted herbal teas. But some Crohn's disease sufferers might drink coffee in moderation, perhaps 1 cup in the morning. Relax. It is best to avoid eating anything hot. Pink food. Symptoms of Crohn's disease will probably make you less likely to reach for the spicy sauce. The majority of flare-afflicted individuals don't consume spicy chili or burritos. Spices like cayenne pepper, chili powder, and hot curries can be used to heat up a GI tract that is already on fire. The majority of Crohn's patients most likely find it difficult to tolerate the heat in some dishes, despite the fact that people have quite varying sensitivities for spices. You can use mild herbs and modest amounts of citrus liquids in place of some spices that make you sick during a Crohn's flare. When your Crohn's disease symptoms are out of control, spicy foods may make you feel even more uncomfortable. But this differs from person to person, so it's important to figure out which meals are uncomfortable. An inflammatory bowel disease that can cause chronic pain in the stomach and appetite loss is Crohn's disease. Additionally, it may hinder your body's ability to absorb nutrients from the food you eat. So let's continue the discussion with a couple more films about digestive problems. Should we? Keep an eye out for stomach ulcer symptoms, causes, and treatments. You need to know about these 15 anti-bloat foods to eat whenever you're experiencing gas and bloating. Feel free to click one. Better yet, watch both videos to gain more knowledge on stomach issues. Which foods do you not eat? Tell us in the comments section below.